Sports Network. Yeah, knowledge over narrative.
What's up, guys? Swift here. I got my guy Keek on the mic with me. We're talking about Justin Fields and the 2023 Chicago Bears. I believe we are two of the last people standing that still believe in our young quarterback, Justin Fields. So many people have jumped off the ship, but I see problems all over the roster, including the coaching staff. But Keek, go ahead and introduce yourself and let these people know where they can find you.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Keek on the mic. I run the Chicago Bears channel. Once again, Swift, thank you so much for having me on. Once again, you know, a lot of people always beg, like, hey, you need to get Keek on the mic and Swift together. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But I'm glad we can give the people what they want. Hey, and I'm happy to be the crazy one to still believe in Justin Fields all the way.
Me too, man. I feel like Justin Fields doesn't have the right support system in place. We are a franchise that historically has never been able to develop quarterbacks. It's simply been an organizational failure from the top down. So here we are at week 3. What is your belief level in Justin Fields?
My belief in Justin Fields is still at like a solid 9, to be quite honest with you. I just think it's not just a him problem. You know, we've talked a lot about this. I know you've talked a lot about this on your channel. I know I talk a lot about this on my channel. When I look at Justin Fields, I kind of see a guy that has been overcoached just quite a little bit. And this coaching staff has definitely taken the confidence out of a young man coming out of Ohio State, and especially when you look back at his rookie season, especially when you look at pinpoint that one game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. When I watched the highlights to that game, I'm literally pulling my hair out, Swifty. I don't know what it is, but Luke Getsy, Matt Eberflus, and maybe if you can throw in Matt Nagy in there, I think they've definitely just taken the confidence out of Justin Fields.
Yeah, I heard Josh Lucas talk about it the other day. The plan was to sit Justin Fields his rookie season. He got brutalized in that Cleveland game. And Lucas said it himself. A game like that can cause permanent damage to a quarterback. I'll say this much. I believe we got the quarterback right this time, and the failure so far is on the Chicago Bears. We have not developed them. The failure is from the top down. We just cannot develop young quarterbacks.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there about struggling developing quarterbacks within this franchise. You know, a lot of Bears fans that are now off on Justin Fields or out on Justin Fields are screaming for Caleb Williams. If you do not bring in the right coaching staff for Caleb Williams, it's going to be the same result, Bears fans. And that's why, you know, Swifty and I are very big on still believing in Justin Fields. To me personally, I would love for Ryan Poles to give Justin Fields one more chance and bring in a true offensive mastermind to bring the confidence back in Justin Fields, because right now the kid just looks defeated.
Yeah, 100%. Building his confidence back up. He hates losing. He's never lost at any level in his career, and we have simply failed him through 2+ years. I think these next 10 days are really telling as far as the outlook for the 2023 Chicago Bears. We have back-to-back games against the Broncos and the Commanders. And Luke Getsy has to find the identity of this offense and get Justin Fields into some kind of rhythm. I believe it's plain and simple. Luke Getsy is simply running out of time in my eyes. What are your thoughts on Luke Getsy?
I think I would give Luke Getsy the chance to kind of still prove himself. The thing about Luke Getsy that kind of concerns me is that I feel like he's gotten his credit off of Aaron Rodgers, right? And we all know Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Luke Getsy really had no part in making or crafting Aaron Rodgers. So that's the only reason why Luke Getsy is here, because of where he came from and working with Aaron Rodgers, right? But he has shown us nothing to put Justin Fields or the rest of the offensive weapons in the best situation to succeed. And that's what bugs me the most. We know the strengths of our team, right? We know the strengths of Justin Fields, but they continue to put the young man in a position that is not allowing him to be successful, right? So to me personally, if you can't get something going against Denver, a team that just gave up 70 points, and I'm not saying you're saying that we're the Dolphins. We're far from it, right? We're not going to score 70 points. We don't have a good offense like the Miami Dolphins. But just like my brother-in-law said, he's a huge Denver Broncos fan. He even said this. He said, if Luke Getsy and Justin Fields can't figure it out this week against the Denver Broncos, then we should start being kind of concerned about Luke Getsy.
Great point, Keek. Some fans even have the idea that Luke Getsy is some kind of spy. I can't buy into that theory that someone would sacrifice their own career for their old employer. To me, it's more simple. Like, He wasn't a play caller in Green Bay. He wasn't even the offensive coordinator. He was underneath Matt LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett. And to me, it's much more likely that we hired a guy who's just in over his head as an NFL play caller.
Yeah, the offense that we're trying to run is obviously very similar. It's the same scheme, I believe, to the San Francisco 49ers. And that's all fine and dandy. It's a great scheme, but you still have to know how to scheme players open and know how to call an offense. And obviously, you just brought up a good point that Luke Getsy doesn't have that experience. I believe that he wasn't even good back in college. I think he was an OC maybe back in, I don't know the exact college that he coached for, but he wasn't even good in college, right? So what gave the Bears the belief that he would be the right guy for Justin Fields and to develop Justin Fields? And that is on Matt Eberflus. And for somewhat, that's also on Ryan Poles as well, because Ryan Poles hired Matt Eberflus. So this is a failure to me on the coaching staff, and it's an organizational failure. And a point that I really want to bring up, and I keep forgetting to bring this up on my own channel, but you have actual quarterbacks in Chase Daniel, a Hall of Famer, and Terry Bradshaw saying that it's not all on Justin Fields, but you still have these Bears fans claiming that it is.
I know it's easy to blame the quarterback, especially for the fans who don't watch tape or even know what the All-22 is. The QB is the guy who has the ball in his hands the most, and no other position gets blamed for wins and losses like quarterbacks do. But I mean, Eberflus and Getsy have only won 3 games since they've been here. They gave me a reason to buy in last year, but if they don't get things on track very soon here, I don't know what this coaching staff is doing right now. But I do know that Justin Fields' timeline as our franchise quarterback isn't unlimited. And if we don't win games this season, this coaching staff would very likely throw Fields under the bus, and that would be a travesty in my opinion. I would fire Luke Getsy way before I threw in the towel on Justin Fields.
Yeah, and that's why, I have a lot of conversations with my dad as well. My dad's a big reason why I am a Bears fan. So he's one of the guys I talk to all the time. And we just think that the best case scenario is you get rid of this coaching staff, which the Bears don't usually do that. They usually let the new coaching staff pick their quarterback. But my thing is, Matt Eberflus is still a defensive-minded head coach. He is now calling the plays, and we have the worst defense in the entire National Football League for the second year running. So you're asking Justin Fields or your new quarterback in Caleb Williams to come in and score more than 35 points a game. I understand it's an offensive league, but that is a tall task for any quarterback. And something I also want to bring up, people need to stop telling me it's been 3 years, Keek. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He has been in the league 3 years. The first year to me is an absolute wash. The second year, he was learning this new system under Luke Getsy, and it's still the same thing in year 3. Justin Fields has never had a capable play caller in the National Football League. So that 3-year thing you're bringing up to me is kind of null and void to me.
Preach, Keek. This is why we can't compare Justin Fields to other guys around the league, because other teams simply have better situations to develop quarterbacks. The Bears have failed as an organization to do things the right way. It's a pattern by now. Draft a QB in the first round, teach him a new system in the NFL, then fire that coaching staff after his rookie season and make him learn an entirely new system for year 2. We drafted Rex Grossman, fired our coach the next year. Drafted Mitch Trubisky, fired our coach the next year. Drafted Justin Fields, fired our coach the next year. And then on top of that, we've never brought in a guy who was established and developed a QB in the NFL before, or even called plays at an NFL level. It's an organizational failure. There's no continuity. There's no structure. There's no accountability. And before we go bring in another QB into this mess, why don't we make sure some of the other things around the QB are right this time? Fields entered this league with superstar talent. He spent 2+ years getting sacked more than any QB in league history. His play callers have been Matt Nagy and Luke Getsy. Where is the development? It's almost like we're making him worse. And then you brought up my next point. We have a defensive head coach. And in year 2, we still have the worst defense in the entire league. I just don't understand why people want to put it all on the quarterback.
Yeah, and going back to like the whole record thing of Justin Fields, that really kind of bothers me because I always try to claim that that is not a quarterback stat, right? And a point that I want to bring up is that Kirk Cousins is on pace for over 6,000 passing yards, and the Vikings are still 0-3. Right. So the stats are showing that Kirk Cousins is an amazing quarterback, but the team around him is not good. So what's the difference? Right. And going back to last year, how many games did the Bears have the lead where Justin Fields put the team on his back, but the defense was unable to deliver? We're up 24-10 on the Detroit Lions, the first matchup. We were beating the Green Bay Packers 17-3. Right. The defense couldn't get it done. There's many examples where when you actually watch the game and don't just look at the stats, you see that's not all on Justin Fields. And another thing is people need to stop worrying about a 300-yard passing performance, saying Justin Fields has never thrown for 300 yards. Who gives a damn about that? If we're winning games, that's all that matters. Obviously, it hasn't went our way. Last year, we lost a lot of one-score games, and the only reason why we were in those games, Bears fans, was because Justin Fields.
Dead on again, man. Poles said himself in the press conference recently, Fields put this team on his back last year and carried them. He showed the world that he has elite playmaking capabilities. He just needs some consistency. We have to stop with these rookie play callers who have never called plays at an NFL level. Again, it's just failure from the organization. Getsy, just like Matt Nagy, came from a successful offense, but he never called the plays. Anyone watching the film can see that Luke Getsy looks over his head at times and is not surprising the defenses at all. Last year he made adjustments and he showed some promise down the stretch, but this season we've added more talent and somehow Getsy and this offense have taken a step back. To me, it's been a serious indictment on Getsy and these coaches.
Yeah, and that's the interesting point that you brought up is that we gained that momentum. We saw what Justin Fields can do well, and they finally played to his strengths. And I think that's why you and I, other Bears fans, had so much optimism going into the season because now you add DJ Moore. You have a guy like Chase Claypool, which I feel like Chase Claypool can be so dynamic in this offense, but it's just the failure to me of the coaching staff of not putting these players in the best situation to succeed. And so when you go into week one, you see nothing of that. And then you go into week two saying maybe, week one was just a fluke. Then you go into week two against Tampa Bay and it's the same things. And even in week three, it still wasn't a lot, right? Even the first play of the game where he's backed up in his end zone, Justin Fields did it on his own. It wasn't a design.
And that's where things got out of hand. Week 2 is when a ton of Justin Fields fans jumped off the bandwagon. It was one of his worst games as a pro. He took 2 to 3 sacks where he had someone wide open, so now fans have just jumped to the conclusion that he simply can't read defenses and holds the ball too long. When he's shown his ability to do so in the past, but that one bad game has caused fans to just completely throw in the towel. When you look at the Chiefs tape, all the same guys that say, if you look at Tim Jenkins or who are all the guys out there that break down film, QB School, Chase Daniel,
Yeah.
like all these guys, even the guys who said it was on Fields week 2, they look at the same tape I did week 3 and see that nobody was open, our offensive line wasn't blocking, and the schemes, again, why every week do we have 2 receivers running the same route next to each other? There's just a lot of question marks. The blocking's not good. And to me, it wasn't on field. So we're in a rough situation right now. I just hope we can smash the Broncos this weekend and give our fan base some faith because these fans they're close to just giving up on the whole team.
Well, that's what they're used to, right? That's as Bears fans, that's what we're used to. And I did it with Mitch Trubisky. I was one of those fans that kind of just gave up on him like prematurely because I saw the writing on the wall. But this time it's just different. I just know what Justin Fields can do, and I feel like the X factor here is that people don't like to talk about him is Kevin Warren. I feel like Kevin Warren at the end of the day will back Justin Fields and possibly say, "Hey, Ryan Poles, it's not all on Justin Fields. We need to give Justin Fields a true offensive mastermind to come in and actually develop this guy."
Man, that's a great point, and it's something that I've thought about a little bit. If there was someone that could shake this up, and I think if we win this weekend, that's definitely not going to happen. The Bears have never fired a coach mid-season, but if we lose this Broncos game, this is for what ifs, guys. I definitely think we have a chance to win this, but when you look at common sense here, Vegas knows what they're talking about, right? And the Broncos just lost by 50 points. They gave up 70, and they're coming on the road to Chicago. And usually if a game is close, Vegas is going to give the home team 3 points. That's just how home field advantage works. The Broncos have 3 points in this game. Vegas is favoring the Broncos to beat us. Now, they do have Jerry Jeudy back, and their all-pro safety who missed last week and probably was a big reason why the defense got beat so bad. Justin Simmons most likely is going to be back this week, so the defense won't be as bad. He practiced limited, I think, yesterday and today. I'm hoping he's not back, but if he is, I mean, it's not going to be the same defense that gave up 70 points. And if we somehow lose this game and then 3 days later against the Commanders lose that one, we would be 0-5 with what the Bears like to call the mini bye. 10 days until our next game. And Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, I feel like if they're as smart as I believe they are, they could take a stand at that time, and there could be some organizational changes. Is it a definite possibility? No. Not even if we're 0-6 or 0-7, nothing is definite. But like you said, Kevin Warren is a wild card, and he's a smart guy. I believe Ryan Poles is very smart too, and he's going to be like, look, I've seen Fields play better than this, and I've saw better play calling when I was in Kansas City. I can tell, Getsy, you're not fooling me when I'm setting up in the press box and I see you calling the screen pass. Like, Ryan Poles got to be sitting there like, what is this? Like, so there could be a shakeup. I see it, but I really hope we can beat the Broncos, because if not, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, it's this Broncos game is really huge for confidence reasons. When you're looking at Justin Fields' confidence, I think it would be a big, getting things in the right direction. Because when you're losing so much, once again, Justin Fields is coming from an organization where he didn't lose a lot, right? He was dominant. Had a lot
his
of
whole life,
coming in,
like high school, college,
life. He's always been a winner, right? And now we're on 13 straight, probably about to be hopefully not 14 straight losses. That plays a huge toll, especially for Justin Fields. He knows deep down that this coaching staff is ruining him, right? He knows he's not being put in the best situation. He's not going to come out and say it. He did last week, even though he backtracked. He did last week, right? But he knows that he's not being used the right way. So this is a huge game for the whole team, but especially Justin Fields to hopefully get his confidence back.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been Hall of Fame quarterbacks out there who have said it. Like, you cannot play quarterback in the NFL if you aren't confident. And confidence plays a key factor. And it's hard to be confident when, I mean, Fields has to hear the outside noise. He hears LaShawn McCoy on the radio saying that Fields can't throw. He hears the critics. And then he hates losing. Like you said, this is a guy who, he might hate losing more than he enjoys winning.
Yeah.
So you have to win more games with him. Get him some confidence. Figure out what you can do on offense consistently to get in a rhythm, get in a flow, and get him comfortable. And if Getsy can't do that, he's got to go, period, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's just like something that I would love to see from Luke Getsy is more crossing routes, more slants, right? Stuff to get our guys open faster. We all know that DJ Moore can run routes, but when you're watching the tape, especially when I'm watching your all-22, why are all these routes taking so long to develop? We don't need that. We don't have a stable offensive line to do that. We're not Kansas City, right? Just quick slants, get guys open and quick in a hurry. One read, throw it, right? And I think that's when Justin Fields at his best, when he has that conviction just to let that ball loose. We all know he can throw the football.
Yeah, I think those are the throws you need to get him in rhythm. And then to build on that, we can establish the run game a little bit more and then take play action shots. I saw it once last week where we run the outside zone or we run an RPO and you pick up 7 yards on first down. And then we change the formation and go to I formation on second down and run the ball. And it's like, everyone knows it's coming. We weren't in I formation last play, so you're not building off of what you just set up. And that's kind of what the NFL is. It's a chess game. You use formations, you run one play, and then you build something off that. Like if you run a stretch play to the outside, you can then fake the stretch play and run a play action rollout. But I don't see Getsy doing a lot of that. I saw the makings of it last year with our outside zone scheme. But this year, I see him, he'll do one thing, and then he brings out a completely different set of personnel and runs something very predictable, like a run up the middle or a screen pass. And it's like, I just feel like during the game, he doesn't have a flow. He's maybe thinking too hard. Kind of reminds me of Nagy. He's trying to outsmart people. And it's like, sometimes we got to find that bread and butter of what works, because right now it's nothing.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly in one of your videos too recently that we just don't have an identity for ourselves. And I think that has a lot to do with Luke Getzey. I think we have the personnel and the players and the talent to keep defenses on their toes. And just like you mentioned, that we gained 7 yards on the RPO, but then we go into something predictable. When really we should have did something to keep the defense on their toes, keep them off balance, right? So that would have been a perfect time for play action, rollout, hit Cole Kmet, right? And that's another thing. We got to get our tight ends more involved. Where's Robert Tunyon? We need more Cole Kmet. Why in the world did we sign Marcellus Lewis if he's not going to be in there more to help block, right? So, and another thing, we got to get the running backs going. We have a lot of good, young, solid running backs, starting with Roshan Johnson. The kid looks excellent. He's a bright spot. And then obviously Khalil Herbert can do his thing too. But it's just mind-blowing that we had the number one rushing attack in the National Football League, and we're not using that as a strength to get this offense going.
I mean, and they've both performed well when given opportunities this year, but we haven't had any sustained drives and we haven't given them enough carries. I do want us to establish the pass more this year, but you have to sometimes build that run a little bit first in order to set it up. And what I feel we're doing is it's either run, pass. Second down is almost always a run. Or he comes out with some kind of quick pass or screen on first down, then goes to the run, and then there's Fields in third and long having to pass again. And usually he's like, well, it's third and long, so let's just call up a screen because I don't want to get Fields sacked here. So it's just too predictable. And when you have guys setting at home, you know what's coming with the next play. Or then you hear defensive players say, yeah, we knew what was coming. It just, it sucks as a Bears fan because there's been so many other teams will hit on these offensive coordinators. And you always want to have faith when we hire this guy. Like, yes, hopefully we got one of these next genius guys. You heard people talking about it last year, like, oh, Getzey's going to be a head coach in a year or two. I never said that, but here we are now, and the dude can't even call plays. So it's, man, when can we hit on that? And then Eberflus with the worst defense in the league as our head coach. I just feel like heads are going to have to roll at some point if this team doesn't turn the corner soon. We can't wait the whole year. It is a rebuild, but we need to at least have an identity and see that we're moving in the right direction.
And this is a good week to make changes, like you mentioned earlier in this episode, because, obviously you have a short week after Sunday, you play Thursday. And to me, it's not been about the losses. It's been about how we are losing. It just looks like we're unprepared. We're getting out coached, right? We're getting outplayed. And that's not what you want, right? Because we have the talent on this roster. And I'm not gonna sit here and say I really thought we were gonna beat Green Bay. I thought we were gonna beat Tampa Bay. But they just came. They're just more prepared than we were, and I think that's the most frustrating part as a Bears fan at the moment. And then that's when it really falls on Matt Eberflus and the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's the one that hurts was Green Bay. I definitely thought we were gonna beat Green Bay. I think a lot of our fan base did. Now, when we talk about Kansas City, no, I didn't expect to beat them. But just like last year against the Bills. Remember the Bills and Eagles? I didn't expect to win those games either, but we were competitive in both of those games, and against the Chiefs, we were not. So what happened to where this team doesn't have the fire and we can't even hang in there and make games close anymore? Now we're just getting punched in the mouth and have no identity when we worked so hard last year to establish that identity. And then we add more talent and Getzey just throws the identity out the window. It reminds me of Matt Nagy when his second year with the Bears, right? The first year, I guess you can call that was an identity. We had success with Mitch. Now, he did run a more limited offense to have that success. But then the next year, instead of building, what I would have done, you want to build, some of those things were limited, right? But you had some plays that work. So you want to keep those in the playbook and then build off of it to try to improve, not just throw everything out the window and say, okay, last year's gone. Now we're running this and it's all different, but this is going to work better because I'm smart and I know what really works. And it feels like Getzey's doing the same thing. He's like, you know what? Last year in the second half, we had success running with Fields and establishing the run with David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. But now this year, we're just going to do something completely different. And I don't get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Going into the season, I would have made a clear message to opposing defenses, opposing teams. Try to stop it. right? You know, I know you're going to game plan for Fields running, but until you can stop it, I'm not going away from it. That's why I was so excited. And I talked a lot of mess. I'm not going to lie. I talked a lot of mess to Lions, Packers, even Vikings fans, everyone, because I was like, there's no way in hell you're going to stop Justin Fields. You're going to stop Cole Kmet. Now we got DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, Mooney. It's definitely backfired so far for the Bears.
I feel like you said it, though. The recipe for success is there. We still have a lot of moving pieces on the offensive line, and they haven't had a lot of time to play together yet. So it is going to take time for that to come together. But like you said, when you have that many weapons on offense, you see other teams with less talent. Like you look at the Texans winning games. You look at the Cardinals beating the Cowboys with Josh Dobbs. If you prepare your players and put them in the best position to succeed and do what they do, you can surprise people. And that's what I don't see from Getsy. He's taking guys that have a lot of talent and getting less out of them and putting them in positions where it's not what's best for them. And that's very concerning to me when I watch the tape.
Yeah, and that's why him and Matt Nagy are very similar, because they're trying to make these players conform to only their ways and the ways they want things done, rather than playing to their players' strengths. And that's why they need to get someone in here that actually knows how to put players in positions to succeed.
You want your system to highlight your players' strengths and be built for the players on your roster, not have a system and then try to bend and fit these square pegs into round holes and try to make guys play what they're not used to playing. And I feel like that's what Getsy's done, going all the way back to moving Justin Fields' footwork. I understand if you wanted to alter his throwing motion a little bit, but when you change his footwork, his throwing motion, his cadences, and have him learning a new offense, that's where it comes in, where there's just a little bit too much. Like, the guy can't just relax and play football anymore.
Yeah.
He has to worry about every single little thing. And to me, that's overcoaching and possibly bad coaching, even when we look at it now.
Yeah, and I do want to bring up just a couple of points here. And I just want the listeners to understand that Swifty and I understand that Justin Fields needs to play better. We all know that. We don't need to remind Justin Fields that he needs to play better. He understands that, right?
More than anyone, probably.
Right. We are just simply stating the obvious, right? That, and this is something that's been going on for years within the Chicago Bears organization, that they failed to develop quarterbacks, right? Mr. Trubisky was failed. Obviously, you see that Justin Fields is being failed by this organization. You probably go down the list of all the quarterbacks in Chicago that have been failed by this organization. I am still 100% confident that Justin Fields can be the guy. And here's the big point that I brought up on my podcast as well, that if you are planning to allow this coaching staff to pick their guy, it's going to be the same issue. So in that instance, if you're planning to do that, and I'm talking to Ryan Poles here, you might as well give Justin Fields another year and bring in the right coach for him, if you're planning to just let this coaching staff pick their guy, because it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's a great point, Keek. I mean, you can't bring in another quarterback when our biggest issue on the team is coaching and talent in the trenches. When you watch these first 3 games, it's clear. All 3 of those defensive lines we played, the Packers, the Chiefs, and the Bucks, they were better on the defensive line than our offensive line was. And then when you look at our defensive line compared to their offensive lines, they beat us again. So we're losing out on both sides of the ball in the trenches. So if you want to fix this team, those 2 first-round picks next year need to go in the trenches. If people want to give up on Fields, fine. Then you know what you could do? Next year, here's what you do. You have an open competition between Fields, Bagent, and then you draft a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round if somebody falls, and have an open competition. But we need to fix the trenches. You got to draft a guy like Jared Verse at defensive end, and then a left tackle if Braxton's not back. Get a Olu Fashanu or a Joe Alt. Fix this line. Have 3 good tackles. Have one of them as a swing tackle so if somebody gets hurt. But this offensive line needs to be better, and we have to add a center. Lucas Patrick experiment is over. Cody Whitehair, he never even got a shot to play center, and he can't play guard anymore, so he's going to have to go next year as well.
Yeah.
We need a stable presence at center. Olin Kreutz says it all the time. The second most important position on the offensive line is the center. They make the calls. They help the quarterback out. If you have a quarterback that is still young like Justin Fields, his best friend would be having a really good center in front of him to help him call out the plays on the defense, make adjustments on the line. We have to do that. We have to get it better.
Yeah, and you are absolutely correct. And if you do, in fact, move on from Justin Fields, I think if you do go get a guy like Caleb Williams, if that's their choice, you have to pair him with a offensive-minded head coach that knows how to develop a quarterback. Usually, these young quarterbacks shouldn't play right away. That wasn't the Bears' plan with Trubisky or Fields. They wanted to sit down. But if you do plan to move on, that's their choice. We can't stop them. We're just fans at the end of the day. You have to pair them with a strong offensive-minded head coach that can come in and develop the guy.
And you have to fix the trenches. Like, there's a lot that has to be done. Like, just adding another quarterback. Like, if they just take Caleb Williams right now and drop him into the same situation, he's going to have a ton of problems too. It's when you don't have an offensive line and you have a play caller that doesn't fool the defenses and they know what's coming, no quarterback's going to have success like that, especially as a rookie. I mean, if you brought Tom Brady in here, he would have Getsy out the door within 20 minutes. He would be out, he'd be in the game and he'd be calling plays. He'd walk over the sideline, point to the door and be like, "Get this dude out of here. I'm calling plays." Cuz that's what a rookie quarterback can't do. Like Fields or a young guy, even if we brought in Caleb Williams, he can't do that. You're a rookie for $1 billion organization and they tell you what to do. It's tough, and if we bring in another rookie quarterback, we're just going to put him in that same awful position, and we need to fix the core fundamental things before we draft another quarterback.
And overall, I think this is just what Bears fans are used to once again, and they just want to see something new, right? They get fed up with the old product, even though Justin Fields to me has been more than enough for this Bears organization, but this Bears organization has not been enough for Justin Fields.
I think it's a disservice if you don't give Fields every opportunity to turn this around. Rookies we gave Mitch Trubisky 4 years. If we only give Justin Fields 3 years with 2 bad offensive coordinators that are unproven in the NFL, and then he goes somewhere else. I saw this on Twitter the other day, and I've already had a nightmare about it. Like, someone said, when Justin Fields leaves Chicago and goes to the Falcons and pairs up with Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, like, don't hate me for him being awesome. And I just immediately, that's Fields' hometown. And if that happens, bro, I'm watching the Falcons too. And we can't keep failing guys like this. We have to, if I'm the GM, what I do next year, fine. If we get the number 1 pick, trade down, get more picks, fix the trenches with those first 2 picks, and then you're going to have another pick the next year. You got to give Fields at least 1 more year. If you want to bring in more competition for him, fine. If you want to open the door and let Bajent compete, fine. I don't think drafting another quarterback in the top 10 is what we need right now to fix his franchise. We need a play caller. We need better trenches.
Yeah. And I totally agree with all those points. And then to your point about, if Fields does go to Atlanta and tear it up, let me tell you, Bears fans, Swift and I will be on here every single day haunting you guys about that. If that's the scenario that happens, he tears it up. I will not let you guys live that down if he goes to another organization and lives up to those expectations.
Bro, if Fields goes somewhere else like that and is lighting it up, then Swift Sports is going to be half Bears videos and half Fields Falcons videos. I'm just letting you guys know now, because if we fail this kid, like the belief I have in him, us not even giving him a 4th year, if that happens, that would be a nightmare situation to me. And it's not how I believe this organization gets fixed and gets better. And it's also, people have also said this, Caleb Williams' dad has already came out and said it. If the team that has the number 1 pick next year is in a good situation, he'll go back to school. And you think he wants to come here with a bad offensive line and Justin Fields already on the roster? Probably not.
No, I'm hoping and praying that Ryan Poles and, like, once again, Kevin Warren's the X factor here, they do the right thing and just give Justin Fields a little bit more time. And Bears fans, I know you're impatient. I know it looks ugly right now, but what a story it would be that he had this disastrous start going 5-20 something, right, in his first 28 starts, and all of a sudden in year 4 with the right offensive-minded offensive coordinator or head coach, better offensive line, it just starts clicking. It would just be a beautiful story.
It would, man. And I still have faith that he can turn it around this year. Getsy's not fired yet. So as a Bears fan, until he's gone, I'm going to root for him to turn it around. I know Fields has the talent. So if we can come out and light up the Broncos this weekend, maybe the fan base can get a little bit more hope. But we want to keep it real here as well. And also tell you guys, like, if it doesn't happen, what we think the expectations could be going forward, and just this franchise in general, how they fell quarterbacks, bad coaches. It's something that just keeps happening and repeating itself over and over and over again. And we fans always blame the quarterbacks. Yeah. And a lot of times with this organization, they've missed on the quarterback. Before, I mean, we took Mitch over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. But this time, I think we finally got it right. The other guys took Zach Wilson and Trey Lance ahead of Justin Fields. And Fields has already shown way more flashes and talent than either of those two guys have. So what we have to do is get more out of him, because this time we got the quarterback right, but we don't have the right coaching. We don't have the offensive line. We don't have the play callers. It's a mess. Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles, if you're listening, give this kid a chance. Fix this team.
Yes, you said it right. You're right on the money, Swift. I agree with everything that you're saying, and this is why Swift and I see eye to eye. Once again, I feel like we're the only two Bears content creators, I could be wrong, that still believe in Justin Fields, and I still think the kid has a lot left in him.
Yeah, there's not many out there. I'll say there's a couple more people I've seen still out there for sure, but a lot of people definitely threw Fields under the bus after that Bucs game, and that's why I felt like me and Keek had to do this collab. Keek, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Any final thoughts or words, and then also tell these guys where they can find you again as well.
Yeah, Bears fans, I know it's hard, and I know, I guess Swift and I don't carry a lot of weight because we're not in the organization, but just keep the faith, man. Keep supporting the team. I know it sucks. I know we're on 13 straight losses, but things will eventually get better. I still believe Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren are the right guys in place to get this thing in the right track, but I don't think it starts with getting rid of Justin Fields. Once again, build around the young kid, give him a true offensive mind like we've been saying this whole episode, and just keep the faith, Bears fans, and as always, bear down. Once again, you guys can find me on Twitter at KiataQ. You can find me on YouTube at Keek on the Mic. Once again, Swift, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to do this with you.
Man, it was awesome, and you nailed everything on the head there. I believe Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles, like we've talked about in this episode, it starts at the top. And if those guys are the right guys, I believe Eberflus and Getsy, yes, Poles hired those guys, but did he have 100% his choice when he made that? Because Eberflus was interviewed before Poles was, so there's a lot of questions there that start even higher up at McCaskey, and I think Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles are the right men for the job, and I have faith they're going to right this ship. We have more talent on paper right now. We have cap space and flexibility, and we still have extra first-round pick next year, extra fourth-round pick, extra second-round pick from the Panthers the next year. The future, we're still trending upwards. We just need to get the right coaching staff in place, and right now, I'm not sure we have those guys. Man, I love talking to you, Keek. We got to do this again, bro, for sure.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. Hey, bear down to you and bear down to all the Bears fans out there for sure.
Yes, sir, bear down. Special thanks to Keek for coming on and doing the show with me. If you guys want to see more shows like this, hit the like button and let me know in the comments below. Also, special shout out to my guy Buck, who got married last weekend. I'm the best man in spirit, so I had to say, Buck, congratulations, my guy. Nothing but love to you and the wife. Hopefully we can get a win this Sunday. Come by during the Bears-Broncos game. I will be live streaming that one. We'll see how it goes, guys. Thanks to everybody who watches, though. Please hit that like button for me. And until next time, bear down.
Do right, Jay. Hey. Hey, good work today, baby. Let's keep going. Here we go. Bears on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bears.